The following video is sponsored by the TF2 Amino app. TF2 Amino is the ultimate social community for TF2 fans. It's like Discord meets Reddit. Amino has got a ton of features like chat rooms, quizzes you can create and the community can take, polls for voting, and a section for featured content as well. It's a nice and very well organized way to interact with the best parts of the community even when on the go. It's easy to post content and you can add things like GIFs and pictures to your posts. It's a great way to showcase your artwork, find other content creators and artists, and generally get to know others that enjoy TF2. Also, it is seriously well organized. I've never used a smartphone app before in my life, so if I can navigate this thing, anyone can. You can download the app from the link in the description or search Amino in the App Store. You can also follow me personally. My username is TheOcarina Maker, except with spaces like that. Team Fortress 2 has had a lot of maps over the years, over 100 at this point. Some have stood the test of time, while others, not so much. In these videos, we are going to be counting down my personal top 10 best and worst maps in Team Fortress 2. Everyone, of course, has preferences on what maps they like and don't, and for different reasons, so keep that in mind that this is my personal opinion, and if your opinion is different, then congratulations! You're a human being. Welcome to life, dude. But yeah, definitely don't take what I say as a definitive fact here. I mean, sure, some of these maps are just terribly designed, there's no other way of looking at it, but that doesn't mean you still can't enjoy them. For example, I love Hydro. That map is a ton of fun, but I won't lie, it's a really bad map as far as design goes. Like, terrible. Serviceable, but terrible. Still, not quite bad enough to make this list, but if it was a top 20 list, you bet it would be on here. But yeah, that puts it in perspective, doesn't it? Get ready for 10 maps worse than Hydro. But of course, we're not only looking at terrible maps, but to help balance it out, we are also looking at the top 10 best maps, again in my opinion. We're going to do this by alternating between the good and bad, so starting with 10th worst, and then going with 10th best, and then 9th worst, and 9th best, and so on. It keeps the video from feeling overly negative or overly positive. Oh yeah, and a few ground rules. No arena maps and no pastime or manpower maps. And only official maps, of course. We're really just going to go with the kind of maps you would come across in a casual experience. Still, I am not opposed to having some event maps on here because they are official maps and they are in casual around October and November. Alright, so without further delay, let's get started. 10th worst, Suijin. Starting off with an interesting one in that I actually really like this map. It's a ton of fun and one of the best looking maps in the game, but to be brutally honest to a map I do really like, this map is designed terribly. You have the classic problem of the control point being way too spammable. You'll almost always see a soldier, demo, or both camping the upper level of the point, spamming rockets and pills and stickies down if anyone tries to cap, forcing you to take these flimsy wooden planks or go all the way around the entire map to try and get them. Problem with that though is they're also in a small enclosed room. They don't even need to remotely hit you to spam splash damage at the walls and make every attempt at taking control of the point living hell. Plus, it's a nice escape if they are actually on the lower levels of the point and want to jump up and avoid conflict. Basically, a bait and spam. And getting up to those levels as anything that can't jump itself, like another soldier or demo, isn't going to be too much fun, with snipers' sightlines on you almost everywhere you could go from across this map. Also, the snipers can hide in the trees. Because a totally concealed sniper that you can't see but he can see you everywhere is totally fun. And while we're at it, let's talk about this area over here. It serves no purpose. Sure, you could take the whole minute it takes to walk all the way around the map to get to the upper level rather than just taking the wooden planks or jumping with a soldier or demo, but aside from just a longer, more dangerous, easier to snipe, soldier sees you coming from a mile away path to take, it's just a big, long, pointless delay. But to fix this, we could add a doorway here instead. That offers at least a good sightline and a few ways to approach the point from the side of the map. Maybe even replace the two entrances that have their sightlines locked on spawn, prime for sniper picks and rocket spam. Which, by the way, does not work both ways thanks to the screen that you can hide behind. I mean, still better than how it used to be, though. I mean, look, I love this map, but it really needs some work. 10th best. Probed. I'm glad this map stuck around after the Invasion update. It's a small but really fun King of the Hill map that is actually really well balanced to accommodate all of the classes. It's also really unique in its own right, as at about every turn there are two different height levels to traverse to the point, but unlike Suijin, it never feels like soldiers and demos can just camp on the upper levels and spam. They tend to be really open and have multiple quick ways to ascend. Sightlines for Sniper could be a little better, but again, with the two levels to work with, I still see snipers doing a good job on this map. Really, I would only go sniper if the team is good but needs a bit of support. I mean, you know, kinda how sniper was meant to be played. The UFO that flies overhead and drags everyone up into the ship with the tractor beam only to re-emerge mini-crit boosted adds a fun element to it as well. While other players are in the UFO, those left on the ground have enough time to cap if they are quick about it. Even if they aren't, the mini-crits don't last too long and both teams can go into the UFO and kill each other while inside. It's a weird mechanic, but it never feels unfair. This map is a really unique spin on King of the Hill, and I love it. It's got great ammo and health placements, ton of fun elements to work with, like the UFO and basically pumpkin bombs, which by the way you can go flying across the map is heavy. And it's well balanced around every single class. What more could you want? My only complaint with it is that it's a bit too small, and it does get a bit repetitive, but that's why it's at the bottom of this list. The fact that it's on here at all over 100 other maps is impressive in its own right, though. And really, I wouldn't change a thing about it. I would just want to play it in with a mix of other maps. 9th worst, Mountain Lab. To explain this one, I'm going to have to explain how every single game of Mountain Lab goes. So the gates open and you start by having your entire team wiped out by crit boosted sticky spam by a tryhard demo and his butt buddy pocket medic that only ever runs Kritzkrieg and never heals anyone but his demo friend to specifically try and pub stomp and ruin everyone's day. After getting spawn camped for at least the next 45 seconds, you get an uber push and scare everyone back to the first control point. You might not even kill anyone. In fact, you probably don't, but it's enough for the sticky spamming demo to wet his pants and run back with his tail between his legs while his medic backs him up. Meanwhile, your team has to work together to converge on the— oh, just got sniped through that window. Anyway, meanwhile, your team has to— okay, seriously? Meanwhile, is someone gonna take out that fucking sniper? Meanwhile, your team converges on the right side building to take out the one-man army sentry nest— oh, the demo and medic got their crits up again. Okay, so now that you've taken out the sentry nest and pushed everyone back, time is running out. You gotta cap that point quick before they respawn. Your team at this point has almost capped when you and most of your team gets blown away by either a random crit rocket from a soldier who just respawned out of the window above the point, or the demo and medic are at it again because the Kritzkrieg charges way too freaking fast. That, or you've just lost all sense of time trying to cap the same point for 5 minutes. Now, if you have capped the first point, yeah, we're just getting started. You move on to deal with the pill and sticky spam fest that is the second point. You get past all that and destroy the sentry that's always in the same spot in the most coordinated uber push the world has ever seen, and you manage to drive them back to the hallway across the path as you cap the second point. Oh, but not before that happens. Now it's a pretty straightforward spamming of the last point, destroying all the sentries and flanking 3 different attacking areas. Seems like a cakewalk, right? Well, it would be, if their spawn wasn't literally right in front of the last control point. So, what ends up happening is that they use the power of Gaben crits and the Kritzkrieg medic to push all you guys way back past the second point. You're almost getting spawn camped at this point, when in exactly the last 15 seconds of the round, the point gets backcapped by a Gibbous spy who has been cloak and daggering behind a dispenser or in the top corner for the last 2 minutes. The next round starts and people rage quit, and either you or your team rolls the game that last round lasted over half an hour in just 3 to 5 minutes. I don't like Mountain Lab. 9th best? Steel. Yes, I said 9th best. I know a lot of you freaking hate this map. It's a constant uphill battle, it's a huge map with a ton of points to keep track of, and it has the potential to end the game early with a godly backcap on point E, being the last point which is always available to cap from the moment the gates first open. It sounds like a hellish mess and a total disaster, right?
But that's what makes it fun.
And fun this map is, good god. I have never seen such devotion to a single game. You have to be coordinated as heck or you will be rolled. This game is a hellish firefight on an immense map with a ton of flanks and multiple objectives constantly in place. It is so satisfying to start capping the last point when they are heavily camping B or C and cause them to lose it because they are all freaked out and came after you while your team wiped out the remaining enemies on the point with a large push. It's the only map I can think of that requires both solo missions and team coordination at the same time. It fills every need, and it surprisingly works well with all of the classes on this map, even Sniper. All 9 classes are equally as important, which also really adds to the heavy team-reliant aspect for this map. I know people hate this map, and it looks like a knocked-over dumpster, but I don't think it's poorly designed. I think it's just so unique and way larger of a map than what we're used to. It's refreshing but super competitive at the same time. In fact, it might be because it's so unique that people don't like it, or just because people don't have great memory and they can't remember how to traverse this dang map. Oh well, it hasn't been removed yet for being too confusing to new players. 8th worst. Dust Bowl. This right here is a prime example of a map that just did not age well. No matter how you slice it, this map is way too sentry friendly. Sure, 1 is not a problem, but on every point of every game when there are at least 3 to 4 level 3 sentries, it gets annoying fast. Stock Uber is just a requirement here, and get ready to be spawn camped with spam the likes of which the world has never seen. There's far too much cover for red on this map, and the tight spaces around spawn and crucial flanking routes is way too easily spammed. The teams are basically required to be unbalanced for blue to ever win, and that's just not fun. Especially when you know that once blue has won, it means that red, which is now blue and attacking, will be lucky to make it past the first stage with that imbalance. So many people have talked about this map's problems before that I really don't have anything to add other than I think this map itself needs a rebalancing, and more often than not, I just find myself taking it off the search menu. Also, screw this last control point, my god. It might be the most fun you've ever had in TF2, but it might be the most you've ever raged at TF2. Yeah, have fun trying to cap this last point that's just completely spanned with at least 6 sentries for the next 25 minutes. 8th best? De Groot Keep. Why De Groot? Well, 1, I actually really like medieval mode, and 2, it's pretty well designed, and the most balanced matches I play in modern TF2 tend to be on De Groot. And wow, that is a really sad statement in context. Okay, so you have a very well protected spawn for blue, not only for the walls, but the hill and rocks before the castle. It helps keep huntsmen from being overpowered. A big complaint that I hear people talking about on De Groot all the time is the first 2 control points are too hard to defend for red team. And that's kinda not the point of them. They're just there to serve as a delay for the main gate. So if you can hold them back on the points as long as you can, that really helps you in the long run. Plus, once the gate closes again, blue will have to recapture them to open the gate. It's on a timer there. So because of this, it's actually a great design that they are so easily capped by blue, because when you hear those bagpipes start to play, the rest of the map might as well not exist, because literally everyone is converging on that one point in the most epic melee battle you could imagine. No, I mean like 12v12, you got 24 people all converging on the same spot. Also, this rock right here is freaking genius. It's perfectly slanted for a demo to trimp up to the battlements where the snipers are often shooting down with huntsmans, or a fast way to fly onto the final point before the gate closes or the round ends. Everyone attributes trimping to the addition of the tide turner, but it's been in the game in a sense for years, before the tide turner was even conceived. This map, thanks to Demo Night balancing, also holds the proud title of being the only map where random crits are actually fair and balanced. Whenever I'm having a bad day in TF2, I can always rely on De Groot to cheer me up. We seriously need more medieval maps like this. I could play De Groot for hours. 7th worst? Process. If there was ever a map to cause a bad day, it's Process. I normally love mirrored maps. There's no tactical advantage to either team, and it comes down to how well you and your team actually perform. What I don't like are maps where Soldier, Scout, and Engineer are the only classes you should ever play. Yeah, every other class just exists to help them out. This map is way too Soldier and Scout friendly with its large open spaces for high-speed rocket jumping and high-flying scouts, and a very large final control point room only accessible by narrow rocket-spammable hallways. It is always a total roll for whichever team has the most soldiers, but stalemates to hell on the last point with sentry camping. Those spammable hallways work both ways, to keep people out, but also to keep them in. I have seen games on this map last for 4 hours, and in casual, you need to win twice. Maybe play 3 times if the teams are rebalanced. And when it comes down to it, this map is just linear and boring. There's no way it can keep my attention for more than 15 minutes, let alone 4 hours or more. 7th best, Watergate. Yup, 2 invasion maps made it on the top 10 best list. Though, it's not even really the map, but the game mode itself. Player destruction is just so much fun. It requires large teams to play, otherwise it gets really campy, but I love having large teams anyway. It has a similar stigma to Steel, where you need to work together but also do your own thing, and this map is just gorgeous, especially that ocean view. The beer mechanic is a ton of fun, the UFO is literally a giant flying meme.
We are in the beam!
And it's just the biggest joy in the world out of a pretty disappointing update. Though, now that we are at this point in TF2, the invasion update doesn't seem so bad now, does it? At least then we had an update. Also, the shooting star made it a lot easier for people who wanted a strange Machina to afford one. Yeah, no joke, the strange shooting star was still cheaper even when it first came out compared to a strange Machina, dear god. Also, it gives me some serious classic RD Asteroid vibes, which, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that map. Seems like RD Asteroid done right, though I still want that map finished. Valve, get on that. After the jungle update, of course. 6th worst? Hoodoo. Spam. That's it. Just spam. Okay, seriously, this is a fun map, but man, there are some stupid advantages at certain points based on what team you're on. It's a constant back and forth between blue rolling and red camping. At every turn, there is a new spammable area that favors either red or blue, mostly red though. And the second to last point might as well be impossible. Yeah, the second part of this map is the hardest to push. Not the last, which is arguably the campiest one. I don't know what else to say about this map. Every issue that applies here applies all the way through to varying degree. It's just terrible. I still play it now and again, unlike Dust Bowl, but really, that's only because Hoodoo almost never comes up in casual search. If it was as frequent as Dust Bowl is, I think I would hate it more, easily. And that's why it's so high on this list. No way around it, Hoodoo sucks. I do have to say one thing though, this flank is super cool. I've gotten some really sneaky kills here. I do love that. 6th best, Hell Tower. High Tower? Screw that, we've got spells. All of the fun of High Tower just got
Knocked into 12th gear.
This was one of the first Halloween maps I played, and god, I loved it. Played it for weeks on end, man. I love the spells, the tower with the ghost bridges and the god spells. The Skeleton King was actually pretty buggy and almost never worked right, honestly.
My leg!
But the endless great back and forth lines of Blutark and Redman, the amazingly fun fight to the death in hell, the gifts, the Halloween cosmetics and lines, this map holds some of my best TF2 memories on it. I could go on for hours on this map alone, but basically, it's awesome, and if you haven't played it yet, like hell you better play it, this Scream Fortress. You will not regret it. Oh yeah, and you could actually cap Hell Tower without getting kicked. Jeez man, this video's running a lot longer than I expected. Well, you know what? I think this was a pretty good start, and hopefully you guys like this list so far. To keep it from dragging on, I think I'll just split this into 2 parts. So look forward to part 2 in the near future, and keep in mind that these are just my opinions, it's not like they mean anything. And if you agree with me or disagree, let me know in the comments. Just keep in mind that we have 10 more maps to go over, so if there's something that you really wanted to see on this list, it just might be in the next one. So stay tuned by subscribing for more, hitting that notification bell, and if you're in the group of people where the notification bell is freaking broken, we have a Steam group, link in the description below there. That's a good way to keep up to date on our stuff when YouTube's unreliable. And yeah, that's it. I hope to see you all in the next one.